Today's an exciting day. Today we're going to take our short block, we're going to add all the components to it to make it a long block, and then we're going to install it in our 1930 Ford Model A four-door. I've got my torque wrench. It's time to get this thing done. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is put back together the oil pump. And I took this over to a local machine shop, auto repair place, and they boiled it out for me for a couple days, along with a lot of other parts, the pan, the valve cover, stuff like that. So I've cleaned it up pretty much, and a rebuilding kit came with the engine from Antique Engine Repair, which is cool. A lot of parts came with it automatically, but this is one of the things that they included was a rebuilding kit for the oil pump. And here's the shaft that was in it originally, and it's pretty pitted. It doesn't look bent or anything. The gear actually looks pretty good, but here's the new one. And you'll see that certainly the difference there, and the fact that one's new and one's not. So we're going to use the new one, of course. And then here's the other gear, the old and the new. This is the new, this is the old. So we're going to put those in, and we'll get it all assembled, and away you go. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out, the other thing that came with the kit were these two bushings. And these bushings, the brand new brass bushings, one goes at the end and one goes right there. You can see that, okay? And I chose not to replace those because doing so, sometimes pushing in, pressing one in and pressing one out, or pressing one out and then one in, might cause more problems than it's worth. And the reason why I made that decision is because I took this, I put it in here like this, and there is absolutely no play whatsoever in this where the shaft comes through about on the bearing or on the bushing. So that's good. There's no play up here. There's no play down here. And I thought, obviously it's been done somewhere in the past, but it's not 90 plus years old, that's for sure. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to replace those bushings. I'm just going to use the existing ones and put it back together. What I did do, though, was that I took some emery cloth on an 1/8 inch extension, and I put it inside like this and ran it around to clean it all off, both ends. And if you're looking at inside here, I don't think that the camera's going to pick it up, but it's pretty clean. It looks doable. It's going to work. So that's what we're going to do with that. Okay. So let's go ahead and start putting this thing together. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the bottom on, and that's pretty simple to do here. So let's do that. Of course, it takes a small gasket that's going to go on here first, like that. And then we have our body, which goes on like that. Hopefully you can get the holes lined up. And then we have our two slotted screws that go on to hold that in place. Okay, so I used a little bit of Loctite on these bolts. I just don't want these things to come out in the pan. So I'm going to make sure that that's nice and tight there. The other thing I wanted to point out was the shaft here for the other gear. I took emery cloth and I cleaned that off really good. Basically what I did was use a long socket and shoved it on there like that and turned it around, and it worked just fine. It cleaned out the whole area here and cleaned the whole body and whatnot. So we're looking really good so far. So let's get the other parts in here. And for doing that, I'm going to get some help from the jaws. Right here. And we'll see if we can't tilt it a little bit towards the camera so you can see what's going on. All right, so the first thing we want to do is put the shaft in, the main shaft in. And I'm just going to take a little bit of oil here and lubricate that. And lubricate that so that it spins nice and freely. We're going to take our other gear and put a little oil on there too, and a little bit in between, like that. Oh yeah, that feels really good. That feels really good. You've got to get that oil circulating in that motor. That is so critical. So we're looking pretty good here. All right. So the next thing to go on would be our screen. That's pretty simple just to put on there. And then here's the other piece, and you can see that it's got some wear marks and pit marks in the metal. This was all been put on the bench grinder brush wire wheel and cleaned off, and this side's good. So we're going to put this side towards the gears and put this side up, since that's kind of pitted out there. So we're going to do this. And I'm going to put one of these in here right now just to hold it in place, because I've got this at an angle for purposes of the camera and I don't want it to fall off. So here's our spring, brand new spring. The other one in here was, believe it or not, really corroded. For even being in oil for all these years, it was so rusted I couldn't believe it. So ended up having to get a new one of those, and then the retainer here. So that's going to go across right here, like so. After I get a little bit of Loctite on here. Okay, so there you go. There's our first piece of the engine to get put back together and ready. Oh, that feels so good. Yeah, this is a good start. I'm happy with this part right here. So far, so good. But there's your oil pump. We're going to get that onto the engine and the pan and the timing covers, the two covers, and keep working at it. So there's your oil pump. The next engine-related video shows more parts being added. When the engine is finished being put together, a very special guest will offer feedback on what I did right and wrong. You won't believe who the guest will be. Don't miss it. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you wish to see future videos as this 1930 Model A 4-door is being restored. And check out ModelAT-shirts.com. There is some really cool stuff depicting Model A's. Thanks for watching.